Good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. Happy Tuesday and welcome back. After a bit of a break, few days off, it is good to see everybody. Let's check in, see who is there. Welcome back. Gayla, good to see you. Good morning. You got your Sugar Skull Pumpkin kit. I'm glad you loved it. I tried to put in colors that I thought you would like, that you would be thinking of. Jenny, good to see you. I hope everybody's having a good day too. I really missed being with you. I really did. I'm always worried when I'm away. I do have a half an hour in the day. You know, I just worry about reception and stuff like that. Linda, good to see you. I will tell you all about I'm going to see how far I get today. I have things to show you and things to tell you. Robin, great to see you. Happy coffee time. Beverly, happy coffee time. Beverly, you had a great idea and I am doing it. While I was away, for those of you who weren't on the last time we did our coffee time, I was away on Cape Cod because I had another teaching date at the same place. And I boxed it in with a few extra days to bring the kids to have some adventures and do some end of summer stuff. And I did a bunch of antiquing. So I'm going to show you the fruits of that search. But, you know, I'm always looking for rugs. And one of the rugs that I found, I put up in our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club. And it looked like Beverly really nailed it. It was definitely not a commercial pattern. It was a mounted rug, which was beautiful, that had a bunch of just solid kind of, as solid as they could be, circles of different colors on the top and on the bottom, like two lines. And in the middle was your sort of expected small scroll, very small, like a flower with a couple of scrolls. And sort of weird dimensions and proportions. It was very charming because it was so different. But the thing that really stood out were these giant circles of color. And when I posted it in the Facebook group, Beverly said, it reminds me of standing looking down at open paint cans when you're trying to choose a color. And I thought, it looks exactly like that. That's exactly what it looks like. So because it's an antique pattern, I'm going to, hopefully later today, if not first thing in the morning, I'm going to make that a pattern that I put up for free in our group, our Facebook group, and I'll put a link to it up here too so we can all have that. Because again, it's an antique pattern. It's one of a kind. It was a very old rug. It was very nice. I would put it at maybe 1880s, 1890s. It was, I think, $650. So that was, for me, that I thought that was a little bit high for that rug. I always love a mounted rug because I feel it's been stabilized by someone who knows what they're doing, and I feel good about that part of it. It was a very charming rug, but if it was on the floor, I'd expect to see that rug more like 75, 85. So it was a little on the high side, but it was super charming. And as a ready-to-hang wall piece, it was at, in case you're interested and you remember that post, it was at the Sandwich Antique Center in Sandwich, Massachusetts. It was very, very pretty. So I will put that up for you with the photo I took of it. Since I took the photo, it's going to be okay to put that up too, so you can see what I mean. But Beverly, that was a great brainstorm. That was a great association. And Kirsten, good to see you. Jennifer C., good to see you. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're all there. Penny, good to see you. Welcome back. Tara, good to see you. See my guy still here? I just love him. Chrissy, good to see you. And Chrissy, thank you so much. Chrissy sent me these. Let me see if I can show you. Great earrings of, she sent a beautiful card that said, I saw these earrings and I thought of you. They're like little seed, almost like little, what are they called? Peyote beads or something. Making up this cute sheep, the earrings. So I have those on. Chrissy, thank you so much. I love getting surprises. It's so nice. I got another surprise from, let me see, Catherine. I don't think I saw Catherine yet. Catherine in Idaho sent some great periodicals while she was like sorting through stuff. So I'll be able to use that info for coffee time. So I really appreciate that. I get such nice things, and I haven't gotten to some of the nice things I've gotten yet for coffee time. But you know it's right on deck. Everything is right on deck. I use everything. Crystal, great to see you. I love the video of the little house that you posted, and I love all of your work that you're posting. It is phenomenally good. My mom's here helping with the winding and stuff.
All the noise in the background.
Helping with the winding and stuff again. With a few days off, we need to catch up. So she's finishing up all the Van Gogh kits that didn't go out before I had to go out. Carol, good to see you. April, good to see you. Cindy, good to see you. All the buddies are here. That is great. Debbie, hello from upstate New York. Hey, Donna, thank you. Good to see you. Dave, welcome back. Hi. And Catherine, good morning. Good to see you. So, so a few days off, and it was sort of, I couched this little trip to have some more time with the kids because I haven't been spending enough time with the kids. I don't think I'm going to be sending them back in the fall, regardless, until they get vaccinated, because I get that worried about them. So it's not like they might be, I don't expect them to be going anywhere in the next month. But nonetheless, I err on the cautious side because Teddy's a bit tough with the breathing, and I'm not taking any crazy chances. So although they'll probably be with me a bit longer, life is about to get busy with schoolwork and deadlines and having to log on and all that stupidness. So I thought it'd be nice for us to have some pool time, hanging out time, ocean time, and it was very nice. And I have to say, the class that I ran on Sunday at Salt Yarn in Dennis on Cape Cod was phenomenal. It was the same class I've run a few times that I've been running, that I have more dates for coming up. It was a great group this week. If anybody's watching, everybody, honestly, everybody in that class, it was a full class at 10, everybody did so well. I was amazed. And I'm going to put part of it down to you remember how I said in past classes, we were struggling with the punch part of the class. And and I'm not naming names, but one of the big distributors had sent me a bolt of monk's cloth that was different than other bolts I had gotten in the past, although it was called the same and cost the same amount of money. It was softer and more silky and satiny and glossy, and it did not punch well. So from that point on, I made the decision to always get my monk's cloth, the one that Amy Oxford uses, from Dorr, D-O-R-R, if you're new in New Hampshire. And I got that. So that everything I had that was punching was on Dorr's monk's cloth. And now that has happened, that I got this silky stuff and I just never got a reply on it, on why I got a different product and why it just was not suitable for punching. I will always go with Dorr monk's cloth, and I think that was part of the reason so many people had success. I'm not making an advertisement for Dorr because obviously it doesn't benefit me at all. I sell monk's cloth too, but I sell that monk's cloth now. So it's different and it's better and it's sturdier and much more foolproof. And what's that other stuff we had, Mom? Where did we put that? We used this amazing, this amazing hack. I'm going to show you. Somebody had written about it, and I had never done this on not the ribbon candy hooking page, the punch needle page, rug hooking and punch needle club on Facebook. Somebody wrote about this great hack if you're using a hoop and doing punching. And my mom wrote it down. I kind of missed it, but my mom wrote it down. And the person said, you probably all know this, but I'm late to the game because I'm much more of a hooker than a puncher. So, and I don't typically use a hoop. But we are using hoops in this class because it's a very inexpensive class. And I want to just get everybody going with some kind of comfort level and direction before they decide to spend big bucks on all the junk that goes with it, right? So this is the hack. Somebody wrote, get the pain-free wrap from CVS. And we did. We got tons of it. It comes in all different colors. And wrap the hoop. And this stuff is called Pain-Free Wrap, Gentle Wrap for Pain-Free Application and Removal. And it's described as, because it'll be different in a different pharmacy, CVS Health Pain-Free Wrap sticks to itself, not skin. So that's the clue. It sticks, but it has to stick, right? Because it goes around the hoop. Everybody put this stuff on their hoop. And it was the Dorr monk's cloth, the Amy Oxford sort of endorsed monk's cloth. And everybody had incredible success. Incredible success. So it was the first class that I've had using this stuff too, and just the Dorr punch monk's cloth. It was the first class where every single person made huge progress in a short time. It doesn't mean that everybody likes punch as much as hooking or vice versa, but it did mean, right, Linda? It did mean that, and Crystal, you punch all the time, and you say the Dorr's monk's cloth is the best. I was using different one, and again, I'm not going to say who because I don't want to deep six another company, but it was just different. And I don't like apples and oranges. I don't like getting something different that I ordered and then not getting a response on why and what happened after writing twice. We'll leave it at that. I won't wind myself up. But anyway, that combo, if you do use a hoop and you're a beginner, get this stuff that sticks to itself because it is, for CVS if you have a local
Amazon.
CVS or Amazon.
Amazon
does it in huge quantity, more than you could ever use, and it's not expensive. So I forget how much this was, Mom, like $3 or something for this is a lot. You would not use this in a year.
And then you
just
get a
one
box
roll.
of 12
yeah,
for
we get a box of 12
$11
too. Yeah, for $11.
Yeah.
So that was really good. That went really well. So I think we were right on with technical stuff. everybody did so well. It was truly amazing with hooking and punching. And it was funny. I had a lot of questions in this class. There was one woman in the class who was just an extraordinarily gorgeous woman. She was there with her daughter. She reminded me of Christy Brinkley when people used to describe her back in the day, when she was Billy Joel, my idol. And people would say it was almost painful to look at her, like it almost hurt to look at her because she was just like icy beauty, the eyes, the hair, everything. This woman was just like that, and she was an engineer. And she was asking the most brilliant questions about things that could happen way further down the road. And it took the class in an interesting direction because the kinds of questions she was asking were perfectly viable, and I thought, man, you're like a rug hooking prophet at this point. You are seeing things way before they happen. This is crazy. But it's because she's an engineer, and she was much more on the technical side than the creative side. We all have our own balance. So she was asking very specific questions, and it made it interesting because some people prairie dog up in those moments and listen to the answer, and other people are just very focused on doing the thing that they're doing. And there's never any right way, is there? But it did create a great dynamic, and it did create a lot of variety in the class. It was a very smart class. It was a lot of fun, and I spent a lot of time on the whiteboard, which I rarely do in class. I demonstrate, and I move around quite a bit. But I rarely spend a lot of time on the whiteboard. But in this class I did. There were a lot of people who were more on the technical spectrum than the creative. In other words, some people just dug in, took their colors out, went crazy, and started plugging colors in. But there were a good amount of people who were very technical and wanted to see how things would be down the road. It was interesting. It was fun, and it was different. And what was really interesting was that I found some great rugs along the way. So I didn't buy them all. I left some for you all. And some of these I probably will sell when we do our auction. I'm approaching that and thinking that because I have a few big projects in the works right now. But I have not forgotten about that. Let me know if you can hear that spinning because my mom's spinning the Van Gogh stuff as we work. It's not that it's loud, Mom. I just wondered. Just give me the word if you do.
Let me know.
Oh, let me remind you before I forget. Maud Lewis class is coming up, and it's not too late. Where's all those papers I took out? Are they still over there?
Do we have?
Dangy. I took out. No, the little stack of paper. Give me a split second. I think they're hidden under the latch hook stuff.
Okay, there you go.
The Maud Lewis class is coming up, and I'm so excited. I've been deep into everything Maud Lewis, as you can imagine, to prep for this class coming up this coming Wednesday night and this coming Sunday. And it's not too late for that. It was just this morning that all of the sort of paperwork got sent out, all of the stuff to print or look at. This is another class that gets recorded just for the people in the class. This is another class like all of mine where I will never ask you to hold up what you're working on or answer a question. I never directly appeal to people. I just generally say, does anybody want to share? We play a lot of games. And in this class, I think we're playing 16 different games. This is kind of a preview with this kind of thing. Open backgrounds, composition elements that I pulled out of her work, right? She's copyright free. So I pulled these elements out of her work, and we're thinking about how she designs. The class is designing like Maud Lewis, the famous and iconic Canadian painter, right? So I'm looking at how she framed her pieces, what kind of motifs she used. I also send along this, if you see this tiny busy one, houses, animals, birds, butterflies, oxen, cats, all kinds of things that I drew as cues that you can directly use. So we've got 16 compositions to play with in this class, Sweet 16. So it's a lot, but this class is going to be unlike my other design classes. There's not a ton known about Maud Lewis, and she lived a very sort of no-frills life, very simple, and she didn't really cross over to any other artists or styles. She didn't overlap or know other people who were creative people working in the arts. So for that reason, it's sort of limited and narrow what we can look at in terms of her work and her inspiration, because her inspiration is nature directly. So this class will be mostly playing games with composition, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a 2-hour class with a short break in the middle. And everything that you need other than a paper and a pencil comes to you over email. So that's a lot of fun. Oh, good, Jennifer. And I'll make sure you get it. They just went out this morning. Okay. So they can hear that a little bit. So we'll just go maybe a little bit slower, just in case. Yeah, because the speaker's right here. So yeah, it'll go out. It'll go out, Jennifer, in the next few minutes as soon as I'm done with the live stream. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's really going to be a lot of fun. And I always say, if you sign up for this class, it doesn't really matter to me if you take it on Wednesday or Sunday, or you want to do both, or if you want to do neither and just watch it recorded. It's all up to you. But I was working on one of my Maud Lewis. I did 3 compositions I'm working on. This is the one I took away with me while I was away for the few moments of free time that I was sitting at the pool watching the kids and wasn't being forced to swim. This is what I was working on. So this is this one that I drew based on a lot of her motifs that I like, and this is how it's evolving. So hard to see because I just took it off the frame, but you can see I've used a lot of recycled wool in this. This looks very yellow, this tree right here, but it's actually a citrus green, so I'm going to have to rethink that. It's not showing up great on camera, but a lot of recycled wool. Very simple composition, and this is coming along a little bit better than it was. Didn't have a ton of free time. And I was also putting together, in case you're interested, every time I'm on the Cape, I have to go to the rug hooking store in Cotuit, Pat's shop, called The White Cat, and I absolutely love it. I love Pat. I love being there. It's in her beautiful house. It's a separate area. It's a gorgeous shop. She's got a tremendous amount. Thanks, Crystal. I love it too. Yeah, I'm just working on this guy now, and I've got kind of a mix. It's kind of your colors, Crystal, isn't it? It's got kind of a mix. I've got a multi in there, and I've also got, I don't know if you can tell, but some peaches and some very, very light lemon yellows that I think are going to be a good contrast. I showed this in class because I was showing people what it's like to hook with recycled, all this, all the house stuff is recycled. And it's, if you are an experienced hooker, you've done a little bit, there's pros and cons. And it can be so difficult to deal with recycled materials. But the benefit is, they look like that. So it's worth it in the end if you can stand the aggravation of dealing with them as you go. But I went to Pat's, the White Cat rug hooking shop, and she has such a wealth of stuff. She has a lot of recycled materials. She's got a great online store too. She does a lot of plaids and different wovens that we can use for rug hooking, that are prepped for rug hooking, that are already fulled. Thanks, Linda. Hey, Jill. Oh, great. And thank you, Chrissy. What was I saying? These kinds of things that she has such a wealth of them because it's not like a huge store. She has a ton of plaids and prints and things. And you can dye anything that you want. You can dye crazy things if you want, but you're never going to be able to dye plaids and prints, right? No matter what. So I always look for those and I always grab those. And I showed her when I got there, I said, you know what? I love to brainstorm with her because she's so fun. She's just fun. So I said, you know what, I was working, we were eating out the night before, and on the back of the receipt, I started working on the idea for the September kit for our group. And I thought, my mom gave me this great idea. She got me started because she said, as we were, and we will return to it probably tomorrow, the Ann Weissman book, right? To remember how when we left off last, we were talking about patterns and where to get patterns and textures and silhouettes and things like that. And it brought us to sort of the conversation about gravestones and the conversation about manhole covers. That's coming up this week too. And my mom said while she was over there winding and we were talking about patterning in rug hooking designs and punch needle, she looked down and she saw this on the floor under my blackboard that gives me my cues while we're running the shows. And she said, isn't this a great pattern? When I don't want to do it on my dress because it's brand new, it's from Target, so I don't want to ruin it, obviously. But, when you hit this onto something, it makes a great stripy pattern. And she said, wouldn't that make a great border for September? Something with patterns like this. So you could do like this, and then I'll show you what I drew. But recycled sweater trauma. Oh, Dave, are you having recycled sweater trauma? Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that too because it's almost sweater season. So I have a few sweater things to say. I'll add those in a second. I'm looking forward to it too, Anne. So this is the idea for September. This is probably going to be hard to read, but it's going to be, the idea is a blackboard, right? Like a blackboard in school. And the border is going to be, it looks fussy right now, so I'm going to put it all in a crucible and burn it right down to like something simple. But the border is going to be like, the eraser and then the chalks, and then the eraser and then the chalks. Very simple border that looks like a chalkboard, right? And inside, I wanted the background to be like the green chalkboard color. So Pat and I figured this out. We chose this color green, which is like a dark, what kind of green would you call that? It's like a black
Logan?
watch
Is
green.
that Logan?
Logan. No, it's darker than Logan. Very dark green. It's blackboard green. We picked that out. And then we picked out, I said to her, I want the central motif to be like drawn with chalk, to look like it was drawn with chalk, very small cut, a schoolhouse, an old-time schoolhouse. And then I want it to be like a sampler where there's a few things around with letters, like a rug hook, and it has an H is for hook, and an apple, and it has an A for apple, and inside the bell on top of the schoolhouse, there's a B for bell. So there's going to be different things in it, but like a line drawing, like a kid's line drawing. So I said, I really want all of the colors to be colors that you would find like in chalk. You know, when you pick up chalks at a chalkboard, you would find all these beautiful light colors. So I went through her stuff and I found these to do the prototype. And then I'm going to have to do a lot of dyeing, of course. But I got these from her and I thought they were all beautiful, you know, because you get like the mixed colors when you use chalk, right? You run into a little of the other color of chalk. So I got all kinds of mixed colors, like my sky on the Maud Lewis, right? A whole bunch of ones that had tinges of other colors, like the chalk was a little bit dirty, but really pretty, light, bright colors. So I'm going to run this as a prototype myself before we hit September, but I wanted to show you the idea because I think it's a cool idea. I'll just make sure it's not too fussy, but yeah, all of these neat colors that I think could easily be chalk colors, right? The basic ones. And then I had to pick up this, and I don't know how I'm going to work it in. But it is, I bought a ton of this. I actually emptied her out. This kind of window pane plaid that is school bus yellow, right? How great, how does it hook? I'll have to do a video on that. How great is that, right? Because it has that color of September, right? The kids going back to school, whether they do or don't. But that color mixed with all those great chalk colors of the pastel and this idea, the inspiration for the border, right? You never know where it's going to come from. This was sitting on the floor where most things end up, right? Because everything falls in here. We're always so busy. And my mom seeing it and going, you know what? That's a great idea. You're smart, Mom. She is smart. But anyway, that is to be continued. I thought that was a great idea, so we'll see. I figured for people who have school teachers, you know, a tribute to teachers, which is important right now, but also kids going back to school or not, or grandkids, or just the memory of kids having gone to school. It's just the exciting time of year in September when they're actually for 1 minute excited to go back to school, right? And then, you know, on the second day of school, they're ready to stay home and when the summer coming again. So anyway, so, you know, I did a bit of that and then I did a bit of antiquing. And this is probably the part that you're interested in. Dave, I'm going to come back to the conversation about sweaters too. I did a bit of antiquing and I found some really good stuff. And I know not everybody's on Facebook, so I want to show you what we found. Now, Anne, did you hear in the video that I put up of Jocelyn, my daughter? She found this rug in an antique store, and there was no way on earth I was talking her out of it. It's abysmal. It's in horrible shape. I'm going to be real careful with it because it's super bad, right? You are seeing like my body through the hole, super bad.
Beautiful though.
Oh, that plaid border. That's what I thought, Beverly. I thought that school bus yellow right around for the border would be perfect. I was thinking that. I wondered if it would be too much because I feel like it's got to be there, and it's got to be there a good amount of it, not just like a stripey here, a stripey there. Like it's got to be a good amount that's in there. That school bus yellow is so good, and I bought so much of it. You know, it will be a finite number of kits, this one, because of that material. I think Door also sells that particular window pane. So we'll see how it goes. But Jocelyn made a video. She found this rug. Jocelyn's my daughter who's 7. You know, she does a lot of videos with me. She does some designing. It's super bad, right? It's super bad. It's truly had it. And I could not talk her out of it because it was $5. And it was one of those moments, you know, at 7 years old and her being, you know, an up-and-coming rug hooker herself, more of a puncher. She really wanted it. And I kept saying, you know, I don't have the time to fix something. It's not a good enough rug for me to spend a lot of time patching for the umpteenth time, right? That's the back. So Linda says, once framed a piece of hers with rulers. Oh, that's a good idea too. Rulers, interesting. It does, Anne. Anne is saying this rug has such pretty colors, and it's got so many, breakdowns of color. Like there's lots of different blues in the panes, and this is why Joss liked it. She thought the colors were pretty, and Anne had the great idea. Hey, Lisa. When I did the video, I said, "What are we going to do with this?" And Anne had the great idea. She said, "Cover the holes instead of really dealing with them in a restoration way because it's not that good of a rug." She said, "Cover the holes with applique." And I thought about it, not this particular one, but I was thinking about all the times that I do very fancy wool, and we say, "Oh, it's beautiful wool, but I don't really want to cut it up because it's so pretty." Why not applique onto huge, gaping, tragic holes some applique, right? It just put something on there, sew it on. That's how you fix it. That's how you make it presentable. I won't be using the green tie-dye, but Jocelyn loved that idea. And she recorded a video to say thank you for Anne in the notes, and she sang that Chicago song, "You're the inspiration," to you, Anne. And I hope you caught that, because then she slid under the seat of the restaurant and disappeared because she was embarrassed. But you're the inspiration. So we're going to she's going to figure out what color she wants me to patch this, and we're going to put a series of patches on this, and we will make a video of that too. So when you do get a rug that costs $5 that you can't say no to because it is pretty, and it seems like there's no chance, it's a hopeless project, and your idea is fantastic. Why not mix applique, sort of the ideas behind penny rugs and wool applique rugs, even quilly? Why not mix those techniques with a hooked rug that is beyond, and at least make it hangable? Which background does your mother prefer for punching? Monk's cloth. Always use monk's cloth. Yeah, never anything but monk's cloth.
Yep.
And she always uses the big Amy Oxford frames, that are like on, I think would say like 1x4s, right, with the comb all the way around, because she doesn't like to move it, and I don't blame her. I'm
going to try the hoop though with the.
You're going to try the hoop with the tape on it, yeah. She's a big puncher. She only punches at this point. And she loves the monk's cloth, so she's using the same monk's cloth from Door, the Amy Oxford stuff. She gets most of her stuff, I think, from the Amy Oxford website for punching. Yeah. So she loves that, and it's very, very foolproof. Very, not that you're a fool, but it's very foolproof. Not that you're a fool. Nobody is a fool, but it's real good stuff. It helps you a lot. It doesn't hinder you. It sets you up for success.
Exactly, the success.
Now these I found this one yesterday. I'm going to show you this one. Oh, is that a quilter's trick, Anne? I'd never heard it, so it was new to me. I found this one yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. I found this one in Rhode Island on the way home. Now, this to me would be, there's very little border. This one to me would be a boring rug, right? Except I like the sort of mirrored reverse, right? I like the sort of tessellated flowers just reversed and opposite. But this background is so good. Right, it's pretty basic. In most places, it's a bit worn. But look at all this background. This whole question comes up of confetti backgrounds, right? Because if you remember, Rug Hooking Magazine this month had an article about confetti, making confetti stuff in your rugs, right? And what it meant was actually not this. It meant putting like all your strips onto a piece of wool and dyeing the piece of wool, whether it was pre-colored or not, white or colored background, dyeing that piece of wool with all your little scrappy bits, rolling them tight and then transferring all the little scraps onto one piece of wool so that it was all mixed. That's different. So I'm reluctant to say confetti because that article just came out and I don't want to be confusing. That's different. But this to me is also a different kind of confetti background. Just your boring old sort of background, but putting in these little punches of color, I think is fantastic. I love this piece. It was super inexpensive. It was like $30. All these little strips in the background make a big difference. They pull on all of the color, very limited color palette here. But doesn't it seem colorful, right? Charles Lindbergh just landed. Look at all the ticker tape coming down. It's a big parade. It seems super happy and fun. This is one of my favorite rugs ever. And I know it's simple. It's not a historic rug. It's not a crazy primitive. It's not a super valuable rug, but I absolutely love it. And I think the same person did this rug. This is much bigger. It was in the same stall. And it's more of a runner, so I'm going to show you as much as I can, but because it was in the same stall and they're finished the same way with what looks like exactly the same tape, twill, I think it's probably the same person. I'm guessing this is another commercial pattern that they put their own stamp on. Right, it's a biggie. But it's alternating the fleur-de-lis with the flowers in different colors. And I think it is just gorgeous. So this one was like 50, 60, something like that. And again, it's a big rug, but it's in beautiful condition. This is a rug I'm going to hang. It'll be easy to finish the edges of this, but ticker tape is a good name. I just love it. I just thought it was so different. And the way they handled each block very differently, it reminds me of this one that I found in New Bedford at the beginning of this summer. Very different colors, very happy colors. It seemed like this person, if they are indeed made by the same person, really liked these beautiful, bright, happy colors. These aren't particularly old rugs. I would think these are like 70s, 80s rugs. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to run over a little bit today. On the other hand, this rug is very old, so I'm going to be super careful. This rug was 40. Now, I will say this rug, I think, is a very important rug. This is not a commercial pattern. This is very old. This is certainly a 19th century rug. It smells bad, right? It smells like wet, which scares me a lot. This smells like it was in a locker room, you know, of hell, like in the hamper of a locker room in Dante's Inferno, you know, in the hockey player's, you know, specific hamper. It's really bad. It's stinky, it's damp, it's dank, it's rank, but I'm going to show you some things about it, right? This is an old rug, and again, not a commercial pattern. The colors in this rug, I have not opened up the back yet, but this does not look like a faded rug at all. The color change looks to me to be running out of something and, you know, finding something similar, just the way you want an old rug to be. Lots of changes in color, but super, super, super bright, which makes me think, because of the smell of it, that this rug was outside. The corners are gorgeous too. Let me see. I'm trying to handle it really carefully because, as you can see, the corners are quite bad. Makes me think this rug was outside but not under the sun, or in a cellar for a really long time. It seems to have gotten wet but not gotten hit by the sun at all. So, and this is the problem. I'm going to be real careful. This is the problem. Part of the dampness, and I only left this on because I wanted to show you, is this kind of ticking, the cotton ticking on the back. So I'm not seeing any huge water stains, but it just smells damp or basementy. It doesn't feel damp. It was probably all rolled up. It's bad. But I am going to remove this hand-stitched backing. That's going to help, and I'm going to see what I've got. I'm not going to do that on camera. I'm going to do that when I have time. I'm going to see what we've got in the back. Because a rug this age with colors that look like this, if this were in better condition, it didn't smell, it didn't have all this kind of thing going on in the corner, right? Very, very sketchy. This would be a super expensive rug. I would expect to see something this age at auction for like between $700, $900, something like that. It's old, super old. And the color variation on the borders, I mean, are you kidding me? This is just, it's so good. And I walked away from it so many times because I thought, I just don't want to deal with this kind of a project. But for 40, you know, it's like, and it's not just that. If you can see stuff like this, right? There's lots of pieces that need to be stabilized. There's lots of stuff coming out. But a rug this age that has this kind of color vibrancy still, to me, is worth it. Linda says, beautiful. Could you start working on it, on the odor by airing it outside on a warm day? Definitely. I'm definitely going to air it out. I'm going to watch it like a hawk, as you can imagine, for like a sudden storm or something like that. I'm not going to put it out directly. I'll put it out under something. But I'm going to take the back off and I'm going to start airing it out. And then I'm going to have a better feel. I can't imagine that the colors are any better on the other side because these colors are just outrageously bright. But that's the first thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to see really what we're looking at once that ticking is off the back. I think the ticking might be one of the main sources of stink but I won't know. And I thought it was worth a chance. It does have holes, without a doubt. There's like full on holes. But if I can get it stable and I can, repair some of the small holes by putting burlap on the back, or putting, not burlap, but linen on the back probably, and hooking through so that there aren't big holes and there aren't really huge holes, and even mounted, I might do that. Because of its age, I think it's worth the amount of trouble it's going to be to get that rug good again. Now, if that rug was in that condition, smelled like damp, and was faded, I wouldn't even be thinking about it for $40, because it's just too much work. And I see a lot of rugs around New England. But with those colors, you just cannot walk away with colors that vibrant. You just don't see that in rugs that age. Try 1 cup baking soda. Brandy, you are good with this stuff. I remember this from your comments. You are good with this stuff. Brandy says, try 1 cup baking soda, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And Dave says, place musty rug in a bag with a lump of charcoal. That's great for lifting the smell, isn't it? Make sure rug doesn't touch. Charcoal seal and leave for several days. Check every day for damp. Great, great, Dave. That's a great one. This is not my forte, so these suggestions are fantastic. Beverly says, store it in a container with some dries the air pellets. DRYZ. These are all good. I hope you're listening and writing it down if you have a similar thing going on. Once the ticking is off, it should help a lot. Curious about how the back looks. Me too. I'll definitely show you when I have the back off. And speaking of backs, I want to show you one more thing, and I know we're running over. How over are we? I'm going to show you one more thing, and I'm going to make a video with this too. I haven't even unwrapped this one yet. This one I was really torn on. This is another one. That old rug is beautiful. This is another old rug, I would say late 19th century. Not a commercial pattern. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just unwrapping it. And the reason I almost didn't get it was because it was marked as a hooked rug, and it's not a hooked rug. And I thought, I'm not interested in things that are not hooked rugs. But then I thought, I can't live without it. So wait until you see. If you're on Facebook, you already saw this, but this is a big deal. So this is the real deal, perfect condition, right? Old, perfect condition. Somebody saw a fisherman on one side of this. Again, I'm like balancing up against my chair. I don't have a ton of room. It's big. It's big. It's like bigger than hearth size, and it's more rectangular. So it's not a hearth rug. It's not that kind of a size. But the corners, I'm going to back up as much as I can. The corners are amazing. Basket is amazing. And look at all the color variation in the background. I mean, in terms of, you know, us loving old scrap rugs, it really doesn't get any better than this. This one is crazy. Now, the reason I know that this is not a hooked rug, because doesn't it look like a hooked rug? This is how I know that it's not a hooked rug. Are you ready? So here we go. So this like speaks to so many conversations that we have had. The flowers appear to be hooked. The flowers, for the most part, looked hooked in the corners. But this background is certainly more like thread. It is not thick enough to be hooked. And hey, Carol, and you're also not seeing in this thin sort of thready stuff. It's like a thin yarn. It's not the same thickness as the front, right? You're also not seeing color variation. So it looks like a sewn rug, right? So this is all one color on the back, this light brown, super thin. And on the front, you're not just getting this color brown, you're getting all of these colors. It's a lot of different colors. You're not getting any of that variety, so that's already a good hint. You know, when we've done our episodes looking at how people, it's very hard to tell the difference between a hooked rug and a sewn rug, right? Because you're either using a needle or a hook. And unless you can see the back and you see that it looks like that, it doesn't look like a hooked rug, right? Because if it were, it would look almost the same on the back as it does in the front in terms of like fullness. But you're seeing much more of the canvas on the back. One of the techniques that we hear again and again in past episodes of Coffee Time was in books, people using something almost like a chopstick, not a chopstick, but almost like a chopstick. And there were different regional names for it, including in Britain, where you would be sewing, but all of the strip is on top and you're literally tacking it down, sticking the stick in and sewing a loop over the stick. So much more time consuming than actually hooking a rug. But sewn rugs were popular until people became aware of hooked rugs and started using the bent nail and hook, and it went a lot faster. This is a lot of work, right? Considering that you also have to put a pile on it. It's a very low pile. And it's hard to tell. I mean, it's very, very, very low. But I thought this was an interesting rug. At least that was my diagnosis. I might be wrong, but the fact that none of that back, color-wise, corresponds, any of the background, to the variety of sort of grays, browns, blacks, and even navy blues, that the background is just the one color of brown, makes me feel pretty confident that this is a sewn rug and not a hooked rug. But it was an exquisite rug and really different. Oh my gosh, it does say 1929. I didn't notice that. It does say 1929. Look at that up top. You are good, Jill. I looked at this so many times. See up top? It says 19 on one side. Wait, that's the 20. That's the 29. Totally missed that.
1929.
I looked at this so many times. Yep, 1929. Good one. And you know, it does look a bit deco, doesn't it? With the basket and everything.
Neat.
It does look a bit deco. I absolutely loved it. I just loved it. So that was this one was 200, right? They wanted over 300, but I put an offer in, which you should always do. But when you know you're holding a rug that you think is an important rug like this, if this was up at Sotheby's, would you be surprised to see it as one of the lots? Because I wouldn't at all. And would you expect to spend 200 or 300 on it? I mean, you really wouldn't. The rugs that you're seeing online on online auctions, eBay aside, but auction houses, are a lot, right? You think you see one that's just a basic commercial pattern, it ends up, it's at $350, $450, and you're like, how is this happening? This one you would expect to be a lot more than that. And there is actually a lot of yarn in it. It's probably going to be hard to tell here, but this has much more of a feel of chenille than it does like wool yarn. So lots of different textures here too. I haven't unwrapped it since I've been back, but it's such an extraordinary piece. For me, this is like an over-the-mantle piece. It really is like one of my prizes for sure. So I wanted to get that to show you, but also to keep and love and enjoy. And it makes me nervous when I find stuff like that because it's probably from that rug that's damp, that's giving away little pieces. That makes me nervous. I checked all of this stuff for moths too. I went crazy looking for moth action. And I didn't find any. I just found this guy really in bad shape. So I'm going to put him somewhere else to try to keep him separate and safe, separate and away. But it was a good haul, and there were a lot more rugs out there. It's just I go for certain things. There were some beautiful sort of Pearl McGowan type designs out there, and I go for either the very sort of primitive ones that I think are not commercial designs, or ones like the one with the confetti background that really speaks to me color-wise. I just fall in love. And the others I just kind of leave because they, as much as I love them and I'm interested in identifying the pattern and all that, different ones speak to different people, right? So they're still out there. If you're in the same area as I am, there's still quite a few in all of the stores I just mentioned, all the antique centers in New Bedford and Cape Cod. They're still there. So something to look forward to, right? Rhode Island too. Yeah. But anyway, long episode, and tomorrow let's return to what we were talking about before. Let's return to Ann Weissman, and let's do a little bit more of a sort of technique heavy episode tomorrow, talking about Dave, and let's return tomorrow to the sweater thing, because I did want to talk about sweaters. We did a lot of talking about sweaters in class this weekend, but more sweater sort of ideas and help with sweaters and the recycling angle of things, because we are moving into that fall season, believe it or not. And people will be unraveling sweaters on winders, right, to get all that great wool off of them, particularly if they have holes in them or damage, or they don't fit, or they're ugly, any manner of thing. Winding them and getting that wool into a ball so you can use it for hooking. And hey, if it's thin, you're just going to double it up or quadruple it up, and you're going to hook with it anyway, or punch with it anyway, right? Won't make any difference. So it is the season when we would be thinking again about hooking with strips of cut-up sweaters, felted sweaters, and fulled sweaters. And not too felted, of course, and unraveling stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about sweaters tomorrow. That fits in well with our sort of technical episode we have planned. And let's get back to Ann Weissman. We talked a lot about her inspiration, and I did bring this book that we'll cross over to, that I think the Janet Connor book, Magnificent Hooked Rugs, that has the same sort of feel as Anne Weisman rugs, pulling from antiquity, pulling from the past, right, for design ideas. Those two books have that really strongly in common. So we'll cross over with those this week. I also got the Animals book by Judy Carter. So we will do a Judy Carter episode later this week too. So have a great afternoon, everybody. Yikes. And have a great day. And I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, noon, ribbon candy hooking right here. And we will carry on with our program. I will see you then. Have a great day.
Good job.